I've picked up a lot of games recently, more so picking up games in a row than I usually do. So, as there seems to be some interest based on the emails and questions I get about what I'm acquiring, I thought I would do a quick video and show you some of the things I've been acquiring and playing and not videoing, which is probably going to be the case for almost all of what I'm showing you. What you can see here, obviously, is Fortune and Glory. This is, I'm coming late to this game. I had been long interested in playing it because of I like Flying Frog. I enjoy this type of crazy story-based mechanics. I have A Touch of Evil is really one of my favorite games. I think I've talked about that in another video. I've stayed away from this one chiefly because of the historically accurate iconography that is used with one of the Vile organizations, and I have some difficulty with that, and some difficulty playing a game with those characters. That iconography is even on the map, even if you choose a Vile organization such as the Mob, which is what I have chosen here. But I'm really glad I picked it up. I sort of went all in terms of getting everything I can. So I don't have the Danger Pack, but I got the Cairo expansion. I got the homebrew excellent extra adventure cards that I found on BGG, and the Treasure Hunters, and also the other one with the Crimson Hand. So this is my first playthrough. I'm doing 3 characters, and I rushed into danger right away with this character, the nightclub singer. It seemed appropriate, and she immediately got knocked out, like in the first round of the game, and it's been great. It's obviously I'm playing it by myself, but I can involve one of my kids in a little bit of the story and doing the die rolling, and I always love stuff like that. So I've been having a great time with Fortune and Glory, and certainly the internet does not need me to contribute any more videos about this game than probably even what I already did in these 2 minutes. But this is what's on the table right now, but it's just one of a few different things I've acquired of late. I picked up a copy of Albion's Legacy. I've had also long been wanting to get this game, but hesitated because I like the theme, the Arthurian theme, and that's something that I haven't. I'm happy to get out of the standard fantasy tropes. My hesitation in it was the honestly some of the art direction, where I feel that I haven't opened it up here, but you've got some. I think they saved some money on the art, which is fine, but at the expense of most of the cards in the game are just blank text, and that sounds superficial, but to me, looking at a game for hours at a time, I want to be looking at something more than blank text. That said, I did pick it up, obviously, and there's quite a lot of components in the game. Here's an example of some of the text. So this is an example of a severe threat, and the little what you're meant to do and how you're meant to do it. And this is pretty typical of many of the text on the cards. So I haven't played it yet. I've sorted it. I've looked through the rules. I think it promises to have a possibility for developing narrative. It's basically a dice fest, and probably extremely luck based, as seem to be maybe some of the that's a theme in what I'm picking up here. But I'm looking forward to getting this one out on the table, possibly even next. I don't think I'll do a video on it, but Albion's Legacy is now in the Geek Gamers house. Another recent acquisition, which I've played a bunch already, is Darkest Night, and this is um, the box edition of the game from VPG. I perhaps am alone and I also picked up this expansion, and there's another expansion I got, and another character which I can't remember. I perhaps am alone on the internet in loving these types of components, these laser cut components. It's actually one of my favorite components in all of gaming. I love the fact that they're thick. I love the fact that they're kind of chunky, and when you have the components like the key and the other artifacts, I love the fact that they're just cut into the different shapes. So I have actually been waiting for this edition of the game, not wanting to get the new edition with the components that for me are not as pleasing. This is a game where I posted online a question on BGG that I didn't really get an answer to, and I'm going to ask it here, which is what I found frustrating about the game was the restriction, and again, this is nothing new, it's been talked about a lot, the restriction of the one action, including a movement action, so you can spend one action going somewhere and then just kind of waiting to do something until your next turn. And I was trying to figure out a way to have movement not be an action, yet not make the game too easy. And experimenting with having extra blights on and having other restrictions. And I asked online if anybody had experimented this way, and I didn't really get any answer beyond the fact that there are certain characters, and I can't remember which ones they are, who inherently get a free movement. But that's not really where I was going with it. So I will ask of you watching if anybody has any suggestions for having movement not be an action, so you can actually move and then do something, but then not making that make the game too easy. So Darkest Night I've played maybe 3 or 4 times since acquiring it, and I'm happy I have waited to get this pizza box edition of the game. Another recent acquisition, and one that I had waited a long time for, is another Jason Hill game, Shadows of Brimstone. I got City of the Ancients, and this is perhaps going to be a more controversial comment than my comment about liking those laser cut pieces. This did not click with me. This did not click with me. I perhaps didn't give it enough time, but I waited to get a copy that was already assembled, and this one came assembled and mostly painted. Actually, I sleeved it. I got all the other stuff, the BGG fan made stuff, got all ready, and it just did not click. I don't know why. It was maybe a little fiddly for how far I got. I'm not sure. I can't explain it. And then I put it away and I went back to it again. I tried later, a month or two later. And these acquisitions, by the way, didn't all happen. This is over a period of time, but just putting it together now for you. So I tried a few months later, and again, it did not click. So I'm not really sure. I've got this massive box, and it's hard to get rid of because it's so heavy. Nobody wants to pay for shipping to get it. But I imagine I'll try again at some point, and perhaps it's that in most of my gaming, I'm not particularly campaign oriented, and I thought that this would sort of bring me to that because that's what it's meant for, and that it's designed in that way, so that it would click. But I don't know, it just didn't. So Shadows of Brimstone was a bit of a bust for me, and but it's come into the Geek Gamers world of late. Finally, I haven't just been acquiring board games in the past few months. I've got one new skirmish rule book in Her Majesty's name. This is from Osprey Publishers, and I saw it, I think I saw it when I was buying one of their other games, and it is, as you can see, steampunk skirmish wargaming rules. I'm not sure that I'll do anything with this. I've just been reading it, and I love their rule sets because they tend to be light enough that I can envision what's going on, not being a miniature person, and also able to house rule it to some extent to create a very crude AI to play solo. The challenge I've talked about in other videos, wanting to do something with Dragon Rampant, which is another Osprey Games, a fantasy skirmish rule set that I have. My difficulty in doing it, I've played with this and set it up, but my difficulty is in filming because the space is just, even though it can be played on a relatively small space for miniatures, for filming alone, the way I do the filming, it's a lot for me. So I need to get somebody who's going to do the filming, and that is challenging for me in my with my production company. So I don't know that that will happen here, but I've really enjoyed reading this. And if you're interested at all in exploring miniature rule sets, I recommend going to the Osprey War Games website and checking out. They have a lot of historical offerings too, but this tends to be the length of most of their books, and it's very manageable in that respect. I also picked up something that I had long been wanting to get, which is the Index Card RPG. This is the second edition. I bought as a POD and absolutely love Runehammer's philosophies on gaming, his videos, his discussions. I find it all extremely thoughtful and just really sophisticated. And this translates into this book. I don't know whether I will. I didn't really get it for the intention of doing a video, but I might. I think this is soloable, and that may be something that's coming in the future. I'm not calling this video an update because it's not an update. It's really just talking about brief look into what I have. I'm not sure what I'm going to end up doing next, so definitely not an update, but that's a possibility. Another possibility is this is not a new acquisition for me, but Dungeon World. I don't know. I can't remember whether I've used Dungeon World at all in videos I've done. I don't think I have. I'm pretty sure. I know I haven't done a video just on Dungeon World. I'm not sure if I pulled it in for any purpose yet, but this is something that people have asked me about to do as a solo adventure demo kind of thing, and that may be happening sometime in the near future. I'm just not sure. Not sure what's up next on the plate for a new video demo or discussion, but that was a brief look inside some of the things that have been going on behind the scenes of gameplay at Geek Gamers.